Hi everybody, foXnoMad here, and today I want to help you travel smarter by sharing a recent episode of the foXnoMad podcast with you. My guest today is Hege Jacobsen. You may remember her from our episode about Cuba in season 4, but today she's calling from the northernmost point of Norway, actually the northernmost point of Europe in the North Cape. If you're just listening to this episode, if you're on the audio version, make sure you check out the YouTube version because we've got some surprises for you, especially at the end. Got some things that you're going to want to see. And I hope you enjoyed this episode with Hege Jacobsen on how to visit the North Cape, what it's like living up there in the cold, even though it is summertime, and what it is like living with the midnight sun.
Hello, Hege. How are you? Thank you for joining the podcast.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. It's quite a different environment you're in now since the last time we talked.
Very
I,
different.
I want to talk to you about, the change that you've made. Also, you've been busy on your site making some changes there. But first, let's start off with where you are right now and how you got here.
Right now, I am at the northernmost point of Europe, of landland Europe. So I'm at the North Cape in Norway. And if there is a little bit of noise behind me, that's because I am at the North Cape Fall, just around 100 meters from the very famous glow of the North Cape Plateau, which I'm hoping we can visit at the end of this call.
It is a place that, you think of Norway, okay, it's north, right? It's Arctic, but you don't really realize that it's a place you can visit, that there are actual tourists going to these places. What is it like? I mean, how do you get there? Do you just take a flight? What are the logistics?
Well, you do take a flight, but you also have to drive a little bit. And if you visit in summer or visit in winter, that's going to be two very different worlds. So to talk about the terrain first, now this plateau here at the northernmost point is it's like it's only sea beyond it, and then it's straight on to the North Cape. So there's like infinite views right in front of me right now of the dark blue sea and the sky with a bit of dark clouds and everything. And to get to the actual plateau, you need to travel to a small place called foXnoMad in northern Norway. That's a place that you can fly to. And from foXnoMad up to where I am right now, it is about 35 kilometers. And then you drive through really barren, like moon landscape to get up here. There are no trees, and there are just floating hills that are completely darkish gray to black in the summer. In July, it's probably going to be a bit of green as well. But now it's just barren landscape after the snow has. To get to foXnoMad, you can fly from Oslo, but you have to fly to either Tromsø or Alta, and then you have to change flights to the company called Vidra. Those are the pilots of Norway who can fly in really rough weather. So they are the ones that are actually landing in the tiny airports where there are stormy snowstorms in more than half a year. Or you can actually do a road trip from the northernmost general airport, biggest airport, which is in the city of Alta. And that would be a 3-hour drive from Alta to foXnoMad, and then another 30 or so minutes up to the North Cape Plateau. And you can actually come here also with an RV. A lot of people do that. And when I was coming in right now, I saw at least 10 RVs on the parking lot. Some people wanting to see, the midnight sun. And up here, the midnight sun starts on the 12th of May. So we are in the season of the midnight sun where the sun actually does not set at all. So it's light 24/7, daylight, which is a bit of a challenge when you're going to sleep, actually.
It is wild to me because it looks like, for people listening in, it looks like it is the middle of the day for you. That you have this light. Um, is it, and also you're wearing a jacket, like a winter jacket. So it's almost like, because for a lot of people now, right, in the I guess in the northern hemisphere, it's becoming some spring and summer is coming, but up there I think spring and summer is a little bit of a different climate, right? It's still cold and chilly.
Still cold and chilly. And this morning we actually had a bit of snow. So the weather up here changes like in less than 15 minutes. So you can basically have 4 seasons in a day, especially in the shoulder seasons, spring and autumn. In the summer, though, it can actually get up to 30 degrees Celsius on really nice days when there's no wind. So we do have summers, but usually people tend to say that if you blink, you missed it because it kind of passed.
And for people listening, is it a place that the average person can go to? In other words, is this adventure? I mean, I'm looking at where you are now. It looks very nice. And so is it like an adventure travel type of destination, or is this a place that anyone who can get a flight and find transportation from the nearest airport or drive, anybody can get there and stay at hotels and all of the kind of the basic things that you would need?
Yes, it's actually both an adventure tourism destination and a regular destination. If you want to have, if you don't want to have the adventure part, you can fly up or drive from Alta. And there are quite nice hotels in Honningsvåg. There are also camping grounds. And lots of people come here with their own tents or their own RVs. So you can have this chill, really relaxed holiday. But you can also go on rib safaris. You can go with ATVs. You will meet reindeer, at least if you come here in the summer. Also, I forgot to mention that this plateau and Honningsvåg is on an island. So it's an island community called Magerøya. And the local population is about 2,500 people who lives here like all year round. But in the summer, it is a cruise port also in Honningsvåg. So the Norwegian cruise line Hurtigruten and Havila, they travel there all year round. But in the summer season, starting now on the 21st of May, several cruise lines from Europe come up here, travel up here to the North Cape, pass it, and go all the way to the east, close to the border with Russia, and then they go back down again. So you can even come here on a cruise ship. I forgot to mention. But you can stay in a hotel, you can come with a camper van, you can bring your own tent, or you can walk. The last time I was up here, I actually met a French guy who was coming up on a sort of a tour with us up to see the North Cape. And he started his 6 months hike through Norway from the North Cape. And his objective is to go all the way to the south. So there's all kinds of people coming here, and there are lots of adventures to be had also.
Wow, it is, when I think of, northern Norway, I, I think the first thing that comes to mind are polar bears. And the
Yes,
people that are there are like hardened people walking around with shotguns because of polar bears. Is that an
you're
accurate?
almost right. You're almost right. In Norway, mainland Norway, there are no polar bears. But there is an island group called Svalbard, which is north of the mainland of Norway. That's where you have the polar bears. And it's absolutely correct that the people who live there, they don't leave their house without a shelter, because polar bears do come to the populated areas. And obviously nobody wants to have to shoot the polar bear, but they can also be aggressive when they're very hungry. So yes, there it is. There it is. Thing. That's where the polar bears are, and that's where people have the settlers. And that's also probably the most adventure destination of Arctic Norway. Svalbard is amazing. It's a completely barren island, incredibly green for a couple of months in the summer, and the rest of the year it's all white. It's like this paradisical plains with just snow and ice.
And so what brings you up to that part of Norway? How do you get there from Cuba?
Right. So, well, that's a long story. Long distance, but I'll take the short version. That was not bad at all. But I don't know, probably a lot of people who are listening are familiar with the Google algorithm updates and the helpful content update and everything that's been going on online since probably September or even before. And so my website was hit badly by the HCU, the helpful content update. And I lost pretty much 90% of my traffic overnight. And it stabilized at around 75. Working on that, I haven't given up. I love my website, and I think people really want a bit of information there. That's nice. So I doubled down. I moved all my content to a new domain. I started my second website, which is about Norwegian travel to Norway. And because I needed to actually have some income while I try to get back with all my websites and everything, I was looking for seasonal work because I don't want to have like a fixed job for the next 5 years. I'm hoping this is going to work out. And this was one of the places that was looking for people who might come help out through the summer season. And I have been living in northern Norway for many years before, but not for the last 10 years or so. I don't think I've been up here. But I was like, Finnmark, which is the northernmost county of Norway, never been there. So I thought that's going to be, that would be really cool to go to Finnmark for a summer season and have the midnight sun and all the incredible adventure that you can have completely on the top of Norway. So I applied and they wanted me to. So within, I think, less than 2 weeks, I just turned everything around, all my stuff back into storage, and and 6 weeks later, here I am with a bit of a cold. It's beautiful up there, and I'm really looking forward to the season.
And
yes, very, very different from too.
and I mean, you're Norwegian, but do you like cold weather or colder weather? Do you have a preference?
I do like the winter. I don't like the winter in the city because it's not really winter. But when you can get out into the mountains or to the fjords or up here north, whenever the nature is wild and rugged, that's what I like. So I do like the adventures that come with winter, but I don't like the fact that you need to layer up with like 4 layers just to go to the store, or whatever. So it's more difficult in the winter. And also we have here up north, we have dark winters. Even in Oslo, we don't have the polar nights.
Mm-hmm.
Here up north where I am now, in 6 months from now, you will not see the sun. It doesn't come up at all. So you have actually 2 months of the year where there is a polar night when the sun doesn't come. It does get some kind of daylight, but it's kind of a bluish light, which is also really pretty. But you don't feel like you don't see the sun. And I remember when I was living in Tromsø, I was thinking, this is too bad, it's like this. And then I went home for Christmas to visit my parents, and I was like, wow, this is daylight, because it comes so gradually, so you kind of forget what the light is. So that part can be a bit tricky, and some people actually get polar night difficulties. They sleep all day. I have trouble with energy and stuff. So going out for a run is not what you do. So things are a bit more complicated, and it takes a bit more energy to get things done.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that comes to mind for me is when I was in Stockholm years ago, and it was summer, and the sun, it goes sort of down at like, I think 10:30, 11, but it's never really dark in the summer, right? It's that kind of bluish, and then it comes back up at like 2 or 3 a.m. And you would think, right, you can,
that's for this day.
yeah, I would think you could sleep through that, but it's very difficult without the right, yeah.
A lot of people actually have blinds, like really completely black blinds on their bedroom windows. And I have something sort of blindish where I'm staying right now, but I sleep with a mask on
Mhm.
because You just need a slight little thing opening in the blinds, and the room is light. So it can be a bit tricky. Just yeah.
And do you know the breakdown of tourists? Like, is it mostly Norway Scandinavians that are visiting, or do they come from America or other parts of the world?
We do come from America. I think actually the biggest nationality that comes around is here is actually Germans and people from Central Europe, Netherlands. There are a few Spanish people. That's my third language, but not too many. So I don't get to practice that much. But a lot of Germans come, and I have also met Australians, Americans, so people from other continents that like to go on adventures and travel far here.
And so, like, I think for a lot of people, they think holiday and they think I have to go somewhere warm, beach, something more Caribbean. If you were going to sort of give the short answer, like, why would somebody want to visit a place that's colder, can get warm, but the weather might be rough? It's not the easiest place to visit. Why would somebody want to visit, northern Norway in the summer?
If you think or know that you really enjoy wild nature, this is the place. If you really also like to go on adventures on the rough seas, the North Sea outside of here can be really rough, and it's completely different from the mellow, beautiful, pastel-colored water in the Caribbean, for instance. So this is where you really get to feel that you're alive, and you are close to nature, close to the elements. You are completely, did you say that? The weather decides what you do. Suddenly the roads are closed, suddenly the boat can't come in, and then you are actually closed in, especially from autumn until spring. That happens quite a lot. So if you want to experience, the wildness of the planet and the weather and the nature and everything, this is. There is also wildlife. One thing that is very cool up here is actually bird watching. And then you go on a rib safari out to a protected area, and there's a couple of islands where there are blue puffins and other birds watching, and lots of people love to take it. And also everybody wants to meet reindeer and the Sami indigenous people who are up here, living more or less traditionally as far as it's possible to live traditionally these days. So, and the scenery is completely different from, I think, most places of the world. You might see something slightly similar in Scotland, in the Highlands. You have Iceland also, another island up north, west of us, I believe. But this nature up here is quite unique. So I think if you want to experience that, that's why you come here. You don't come here for sunny days, although the one hotel down there actually does have a jacuzzi.
I did see that there was an ice hotel. Am I correct that there's also an ice hotel there?
There is an ice hotel, but that is in. So if you want to experience that, it's not active right now because ice obviously has melted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a winter season. They start, I believe, could it be October? And then they actually have these huge ice blocks, and they carve out whole. So you get to sleep in an ice bed in an ice room with beautiful ice sculptures around you and lighting and everything. And there's obviously an ice bar where you get ice cocktails in ice glasses. I wasn't able to visit because they had closed before I got here. But a friend of mine, she showed me photos from inside, and they even had a fireplace in an ice fireplace. A fire going in an ice fireplace. I have no idea how they pull that off, but it looked amazing. That is in Alta, so that is the last kind of slightly bigger town before you jump up here. So if you fly to Alta, you can just Google the ice hotel of Alta, and you will find out one. And that's also a really remarkable place. Beautiful in summer too. It's situated by a river, But the winter time, that's when you will get a really great experience with Ice Hotel.
Now, I have to ask, there is an animal which I have always wanted to see. I have never seen one in the wild. I'm kind of like a slightly obsessed with orcas.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I know that there are places. There's one place I've seen so many times in Norway. I think it's in a fjord where you can actually like dive with the orcas, which I don't want to do that. That's too out of my comfort zone. But can you see whales or orcas in this part of around North Cape?
Yes, we can. There, however, come to adventure tourism, there are no actual whale watching tours in this place in particular. When you do the boat tours around here, whether you go for bird watching or rib safari, you can actually do a rib safari below the North Cape Plateau and still see from below. You might get lucky and see some whales and orcas on your way. But to do um, the whale safari, to actually look for that is designed to look for that, you need to go there before the snow. I do believe they have that in Tromsø, which is also a polar city, and in Lofoten, which is an island group that looks like a peninsula, which is really famous for ice climbers and climbing and kayaking, fishing, everything to do with polar and nature in the same sentence. And I believe that they also have whale watching tours. There might also be some in the more famous fjords further south in Norway, from the western coast and slightly up north. So yes, there are that kind of animal, and I have seen them actually in the Caribbean,
Oh,
but not here.
I think like 3 times I had chances where I was on a boat in a part of the world where they were like, we might see orca, and they didn't show up. So I have
No,
bad luck with wildlife. Yeah.
the bad thing about them is that they don't follow us deep. They
Yeah.
just do their own thing. So you have to just go with the flow.
And what's a good amount of time to stay up there? I mean, if you're visiting, is it a week, 2 weeks, something like that, or shorter, longer?
It will depend again on what you want to experience and also your budget. You may or may not may not know that Norway is an expensive destination. We have, the price levels are high, and that reflects also transport, hotels, accommodation, everything, unfortunately. So if you are on a budget, you need to take that into account. If you just want to see it, some people just come here to do, and you can just do that in a day. You can just come to Honningsvåg and get on a tour up here, or drive a car if you have one, and see it. And if you want to do some of the experiences that we have, you could probably stay for a week
Mhm.
and still nothing. There is a lot of great hiking opportunities also. Um, we have, oh, I forgot to mention that in Honningsvåg last year, 2023, we actually had Sherpas from South America coming up here to build a Sherpa stair up to a small mountain that is called Storfjellet, which actually means big mountain. It'll take you 45 minutes to walk up there, and now you can walk up the stairs. And there are also shorter and longer hikes here on the Magerbea Island. And also further south, there are beautiful hikes, and dog sledding in the winter is also very popular. I haven't done that here. I have done that in Svalbard, actually, when I was visiting the Northern Island group, and that is an amazing experience because you just have the silence of the nature and the dogs breathing. It's beautiful. So I think you could probably find things to do in this region for within like 3-hour drive. You can stay for a week and have a really good time if you like this scenery.
And are there any like tricks to, like now that you've been there, to either to save money, or maybe there's a thing that you should see or a place you should stay that people might not know about, before they go there?
Well, if you want to keep your costs down, if you are a camper, that's what I suggest. There is a law in Norway saying that on grounds are not private properties, you can stay, you know. So you can actually camp pretty much anywhere, and you don't have to pay. And there are also camping sites where you can pay to stay. So that's the cheapest accommodation. And then there are like, we call them hikers' homes that have lower prices. But even, you know, if you want to have a camping, like a small cabin in a camping site, that is still going to be like $80 to get that. So, yeah, if you want it really cheap, if you're in mid-range, you could do like camping cabins or hikers' homes and stuff like that. Budget hotels, but I'm thinking that Southern Europeans and maybe some Americans wouldn't call them budget, at least not for the price. And then you also have some really good hotels throughout Norway. And one fun thing really about traveling in Norway, you could be in the middle of nowhere, really. You drive for hours through a mountain area or something, and then you come to this incredible luxury hotel because people want to have that kind of experience. So here and there, you find like these really great places that normally take really good pride in making amazing food. And then they would choose to have short traveled food, locally grown food, and use their own specialities. So you can have gourmet experiences in like the most improbable places when you travel for a road trip, for instance, in Norway. And at the moment, people are not going to see this, but I'm just going to take a minute while we're talking to show you outside right now, because I know this is going on YouTube. So when we got here, it was sunny, right?
Yeah.
Are you able to see this?
Oh, it's rain, right? Oh my gosh. Like heavy rain.
Snowish rain actually blowing across the plateau.
Oh wow.
So
That
like I said, the weather changes in a blink.
yeah, you weren't kidding. Literally in 30 minutes it went from sunny to snowing and rain.
Yeah. So now it's actually snowing outside. Makes me think about what tires I have in my car. They're good.
So what is the cuisine like? So what is the food like up there? Is there a specialty of northern Norway?
Reindeer.
Mhm.
Reindeer, because obviously up here there's a lot of reindeer. So that is what people want to try. And the other thing is king crab. So those are my two suggestions when you come here. You could try the king crab or the reindeer. And also there is a small fishing village just about 10 miles from where I'm sitting right now. They actually have king crab shows or displays. They have a huge aquarium there where you can come to, they call it meet and taste the king crab. I don't know if those two words should be in the same sentence, but you actually can get to see the king crab. It's like huge in the aquarium, and you get to hold it if you want to and take a photo. And the restaurants, several restaurants up here do sell king crab courses, and also obviously reindeer, which is, yeah, I can't even describe how that tastes. You have to try.
You have
It
to try.
tastes like reindeer.
Tastes like reindeer. And as a Norwegian, you know, you're experiencing a part of the country that you don't, maybe you're not as familiar with. How does that change your perception of, I mean, it's almost you're local, but sort of not. And I always find that an interesting experience. You know, how has it sort of changed your perception?
Well, there is a culture difference between northern and southern Norway. So the distance, just to give you an idea, I'm about 2,000 kilometers north of my hometown, Oslo. Norway is an incredibly long country and has an even longer coastline. I think we're second longest coastline in the world after Canada, actually, because of all the long, deep fjords. So the coastline is actually longer than the country is. In the south, people are busy, you know. In the south, you don't go visit somebody without calling in advance. We are very organized and we live by the clock. Up here, you live more by the elements. Time isn't that important. And if the road snows down and you can't go anywhere, you can do it. So it's this way. The humor is different from here. I wish I could actually try and explain that in Norwegian because it's so hard and different in English. But because the dialect is so different and the way people speak is so different, so they have this particular way of joking, which Southern Norwegians don't get it. They don't think it's funny. But up there, they laugh their head off. So the things that we just don't get. So it's very different. This is also an old fishing community. Still is. Honningsvåg is a fishing. It is actually a town with 2,500 people, but it's a village in practical terms. And so that's a place where people go out to go fishing every day. So I have, it's a very, very different culture for me in all aspects. People come down, sit down for a coffee and chat. A different way in what we do in the South.
It almost sounds like how you described life in Cuba, in like people dropping by unannounced, just chatting. So it's interesting, how this is sort of very, very different places, but have that kind of sort of similar kind of thread of culture, I would say.
Yeah. Northern Norwegians tend to, I don't know, brag about or be known to have this warmth. They are kind of a warmer people than in the south of Norway. So they actually have that in common with America, Cuba, and Southern Europe. So we in the middle, southern Norway are more like Central Europe or Northern Europe. We are more closed. We are more, I don't know how to explain. We are more composed in a way. They're more colorful here.
And so,
so it's very difficult here.
When people speak with you, they immediately know, right? But due to the accent, the difference. Is there something that shifts when people speak to you from that are from the north that they or like, or is there like a southerner stereotype that they or a joke they tell or something like that?
So there are lots. I can't remember one right now, but we joke about the Northerners and they joke about us, and we joke about the Swedes and they joke about us, and yeah. So there's this slightly competitive, making fun of each other, but so far at least it's very friendly.
That's good. That I have noticed, or I have learned that part of the world that the rivalries are sort of friendly, not taken too seriously. So I guess if you're going to compare it to Cuba, is there one thing that you miss that you say, I wish they had this here, whatever that might be?
In Norway in general or in the north?
Ooh, both. I'll do both separately, in Norway and the north.
Yeah. Well, here I definitely know that I'm going to miss my flip-flops of summer. I'm going to miss just getting on a sundress and flip-flops and just get out. And the warm water. The summer, we have that somehow in south of Norway. People swim, the water gets nice and kind of warm. Not Caribbean warm, but kind of warm. Here, though, people do actually swim all year round. There is ice bathing up here. Haven't done that yet. Don't know if I might try that come July. We'll see how tough I feel. What do I miss? I don't know. I don't think it's just so different that it's incomparable in a way. And I just get into the mindset that now this is where I'm going to stay. But I know that I'm going to miss my the easy life of the south of Cuba. Well, easy life. Then I'm talking about temperature, not the other stuff that we talked about the last time. Yeah. So I think that's it.
It does look amazing. It really does. I think just from what you've described, it's like the weather almost is like a character of the place. Like you have to embrace the weather, and it's almost kind of yeah. And it almost is
That's
like
actually
Mhm.
We are having a bit of delay on the line. That's actually also something that's similar to Cuba up here, because here you are, you live the weather decides a lot of things that you can and cannot do. And the same is in Cuba when there's coming a thunderstorm or there's a huge rainfall and everything. So they also kind of live by the weather. And we don't do that in the south of Norway. The buses go and the cars drive, and if it's snowing, the cars drive and everything works, apart from maybe the first 2 days of winter. We usually say that the first snow comes like Christmas Eve on an old lady. It's a surprise every year, but things keep going. And up here it's like, oh well, now it's the snow. Can't go anywhere. Can't do anything. That's just the thing that makes it see that.
I was going to ask you, because there's sunlight all the time, do you find that you're more productive in the sense that like you're like, oh, I can just you wake up at like 5 a.m. and then you go to sleep at, super late. Or does that not really happen? Is it not like some super hack to be productive all the
That
time?
is actually a thing. That is actually a thing, not just north, but that is actually a thing of Norwegians are kind of like bears. We are not very active in the winter. We do the things, we go to work and all that kind of stuff, but people are more tired because it's so dark outside. So you get less productive and less energetic. And in the summer, people have like long, long days. You can do things, you can stay up until midnight, till 1, and then sleep for 2 hours and get back up at 7, and it's all fun because it's warm and it's light. And there's also, I think there's a few actually of children being born, in this spring, because people have had activities been going in the light summer nights.
Makes sense. A sort of annual baby boom.
Baby boom, you get more open, and you have summer dresses and you go to the beach.
So I've noticed that you've been documenting your travels. I've noticed a drone has been added. I always like to ask people with drones, how is that going? Because I have crashed so many drones in my life. Has that going? And it seems like an amazing place to just drone just because of the nature.
Yes, as long as the winds aren't too bad, it's an amazing place. And actually, when I was driving up here, I stopped at that tiny fishing village that I mentioned, and I got out the drone, and I had like 30 minutes of flying, and it was no wind, and the sea was just completely blank, and the light was kind of bluish, and it was completely beautiful. So this is an amazing place. And I was thinking when we finished that I might try and go out and fly here too, but looking at, the ground is getting covered with snow. So that's probably going to have to wait. But for drone pilots who love to do that, this is a really, really great place because you have that majesticness of the nature up here. So you can get really good footage up north.
And I didn't look it up before, but off the top of my head, thanks to the DroneMate app, the drone laws are pretty friendly in Norway. So, you can fly in that area. You don't have to go through a cumbersome registration process or anything like that, as far as I remember. Is that true?
You need to register, but you can just register online. I'm not sure about when you're a foreigner how that compares, because I had to do like an online course. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. It took me a couple hours. And I also did have kind of a checkout with a drone pilot up here. So I'm not sure if you already are seasoned and registered drone pilot, if that's an issue. I don't think it is. The only thing that you need to be aware of, as probably most places where you fly drone, is if there are any airports or protected areas around. So you need to familiarize yourself with the websites of the airports and protected areas, and you see where there's marked where you're not allowed to fly. So up here, you can fly, for instance. This is far away from everything, but in Honningsvåg, where I'm staying, that's very close to the tiny airport up there. So that's a protected area. And I need to call the tower and request permission to fly a drone within that area. And also, obviously, depending on what kind of drone you have and what kind of certificate you have, whether or not you're able to fly above infrastructure and in areas where there are people and stuff like that. So you need to kind of take the rules from where you're from and then familiarize yourself with the rules that are here. But if you go to a remote area and fly your drone up here, it's not going to be a problem.
Good to know. Also, I wanted to ask you, because now I'm thinking about it, what should one pack? You know, we're talking about clothes, shoes. I just realized, like, oh, you can't just go up there with just a t-shirt and jeans, right?
No, no. To pack for a trip to Norway in the summertime, let's say the southern half of Norway, you should probably pack for European winter time. So like me, you know, in the night time, here, even in the summer, it can get cold. So you would need, I have like a thin insulated jacket on right now, which works for the summertime and late spring, early autumn. Late autumn, early spring, you should probably wear mittens and the hats and a scarf and bring that. I recommend you also pack woolen underwear, long underwear. Wool will keep you warm, so you need wool and you need insulation and you need something to keep the winds out. That's what you need. In the wintertime, you will have layers and you should probably have like a big jacket with feathers. Don't know what that's called. Insulated jacket also.
Mhm.
A big insulated jacket, preferably a long one that goes to your knees. So that's how to survive here in the winter because it gets really cold. And when you have just a little bit of wind and temperatures below zero, you know, your hands freeze in minutes. So you probably should pack more than you think that you need. Even in the south, you know, a lot of, especially foreign tourists, come to Norway and underestimate the temperature and the weather and the elements. And they try to do like full day hikes or multi-day hikes with sandals and just light clothing. And even in the summer, you should pack to be prepared to get stuck because of the weather. It doesn't have to be rain, but it could be fog. You know, if you're out hiking and it is really foggy and you can't continue your hike, and you need to prepare to actually stay put for 24 hours. So it's always recommended that you bring clothing, water, and food for 24 hours when you go on a hike in Norway. I remember a few years back, I was hiking with a friend, quite a famous ridge hike. That's not that long, and it's, you know, on a good day, you can go in a shorts and a t-shirt. But like the weather, like it changes quickly. And it was the autumn, and it started to rain really cold, sideways rain. And we met a woman who was wearing like a sweater and jeans, you know, in trainers. And she was so cold. And that was everything. She didn't have a backpack. She didn't have any supplies or anything because it's supposed to be a day trip, you know. But you just need to prepare for a lot more than you think. And the rescue service of Norway, I don't know exactly how many, but they go out to rescue people who have got themselves in trouble for not doing the proper research and the preparing for the Norwegian elements every year.
Wow, that's good to know. Yeah, I think, you know, if you underestimate the weather, right, and you get trapped outside, it seems like a nightmare scenario of, you know, just at worst, you know, at best, it's going to be you're just going to have a horrible day. At worst, you know, you're in real trouble. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can actually get in trouble out here.
And, and can you visit? You can visit in the winter and summer. I mean, you know, logistically, is it more or less the same to get there?
Yeah and no. You can visit in the winter and the summer, no problem. However, the road from Honningsvåg out to the North Cape can be closed, and that can happen also in 15 minutes notice. So even if you come by a boat and the boat is able to come in, the road may be closed, so you might not be able to actually get out here. Also, if you're flying in, especially the smaller airports, might also be closed, like in just a few minutes' notice, because of the weather changing so rapidly. So yeah, it's a good idea probably to fly to Alp,
Mhm.
in the wintertime especially, because then you are less likely to get stuck or miss a flight that is cancelled due to the weather. And it's easier to keep the roads open from out to Honningsvåg, which is up north. But you can also, you have to be, there are several like mountain passes where there are, where they close it. And so you cannot also get stuck in. But, you know, that's a good thing you mentioned, because traveling up here, especially from between September and March, you just simply have to prepare that you cannot plan everything. The plans may change due to the weather. So you need to be open-minded and patient.
I just
And
assumed
hopefully, and probably.
I just assume Northern Lights probably pretty amazing in the winter time in that area.
Yes, they are. There at this time there are no Northern Lights. Obviously, I heard that the whole world was got to see the Northern Lights just last week, so it was amazing. Here now in this time there isn't Northern Lights. I think they will probably come back in around September, October. So that's also one thing that people, a lot of travelers and visitors want to experience. And then you can do, there are tours and trips called Northern Lights hunts and Northern Light chases. So you drive out on a snowmobile or ATVs, and you go somewhere where there's no city lights or any artificial lighting, because it's easier to see, and the experience is so much more powerful when you are out in the mountainside or in the nature. So a lot of people come up here only to do that. You know, they spend a week just chasing the Northern Lights to get photos and just feel the bliss.
And I guess you're documenting all of these, you know, on your site. You know, how can people follow you and see, you know, your posts? Where are the best places to find you? Because every time you post something, it's like I'm just like, wow, it's just an amazing place that you don't think about, especially in the summer. It's like I'm not thinking about snow in May, but
Exactly. No, right now there's actually a snowstorm. There's a snowstorm outside. But to connect with me on my Instagram, foXnoMad Life, I can send you so that you can put that in your show notes. And after I move my site, that is also called epicnomadlife.com. I do write articles there for solo travelers mainly. So I will come there with solo travel advice for anyone wanting to come to anywhere in the world, really, the places that I visit, but now also Norway. And my general Norway site is traveltonorway.org. It's still a toddler site because I'm working on it, but it's growing rapidly. And so I'm putting in a lot of information about general tools for whether you're traveling with your partner or your family or by yourself or with friends. You can find information there about anything from traveling to Oslo, the western city of Bergen, which is also famous and very popular for a lot of travelers to visit. That's where you have the fjords, the steep, majestic fjords that lots of people want to experience. Trondheim is one of the oldest cities in Norway. They have this huge cathedral. It was actually our first capital. 1,000 years ago, it was created. So Trondheim is 1,000 years old. And the cathedral there is also 1,000 years old. Tromsø is where you go if you want to have the Arctic experience. That is a town, you know, that is a town. So they have the urban vibe as well as the Arctic vibe. And then you come to Finnmark County, which is basically small towns and villages and the wild Arctic nature. So, and lastly, all the way in the south of Norway is what we call the southern country, Sørlandet. That is where you come for, you know, the mellow summer months. That's where the really nice beaches are, and they hardly get any snow in the winter. So that is where you come to experience the Norwegian summer with, you know, going out with boats in the fjords and swimming and barbecuing and just chilling. So there's, you know, we have everything from north to south here.
It sounds fantastic. I'll leave links to everywhere everyone can find you on social as well. You know, when I think of Norway, it's like around like August, you don't realize how many Instagram photos that you're looking at, and it's like someone's sitting on a rock overlooking like just amazing valley. It's Norway, or like I don't know if you know in the fjords, you're like, oh, Norway. It just doesn't come to mind, but you're like, oh wow, these people are doing all these amazing adventures right here in this country in Europe that is all sometimes people maybe forget about or just associate with winter, right? So they're not thinking summer, go to Norway.
No, I can understand that, and it is a colder environment in general, but it's a lot of things to do. And Scandinavia, well, the three main Scandinavian countries, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway, are very, very different themselves. Sweden doesn't have the fjords and the mountains. They have the long country just like us, and they have the plains of the north, where with reindeers and everything. And Denmark is actually west of Norway, and that is an island group. And the highest mountain, or whatever we were going to call it in Denmark, I think it's like 200 meters high or something like that. So they don't have that. But we have, I think, a couple hundred, more than 2,000-meter peaks. So if you like summiting, if you like to hike to a summit or ski to a summit in the winter, this is also the place to do that. And you have amazing, skiing downhill afterwards.
Well, I hope people will check out your sites and consider Northern Norway. Like I said, to me, like that's the kind of environment that I really enjoy. I don't look at tropical beaches and I like tropical, but it's not my go-to. It's like the hiking mountains. I think that sounds amazing, and yeah, and it's seems like a great time of the year to visit. Now we're just getting into the summer months, and you've got the midnight sun, a very
Yeah.
unique experience.
Each season has its perks and its uniqueness, but the summertime in Norway is beautiful. It really is.
But thank you so much for joining the podcast. I know we have a little addition that we're going to add to this episode, so uh, don't go
Yes.
away, anybody. And if you're listening on audio only, you really want to check out the video version because you're going to get to see the weather that was shown a little bit and also this second part too. So thank you very much
Yeah, I'm
again.
hoping that
Yeah,
I'm hoping we'll be able to do that now, but let's see if we make it.
thank you again.
Bye.
There we go.
Do I need to do anything? It came up now.
Yeah, it should be good.
Got it. Yeah, there.
Perfect.
Okay, you ready?
I am ready to
So
see.
now we are heading out into this. No, no, the protection from my microphone actually went away,
Oh,
but I hope you can still hear me.
yes, yeah, I can hear you fine.
So it's going to take me like 30 seconds to walk down, but I'm currently walking down the North Cape Plateau. And like we said earlier, when I got here, it was no wind, it was sunny, and I was hoping that I was going to be able to show you guys the midnight sun because it is up. The midnight sun started on the 12th of May, but for the hour that we have been chatting inside, we have gotten into a snowstorm. So this is what date is it? 19th of May, and we have a snowstorm. But I'm going
Wow.
to go. You see here. I'm going to take you away to the globe on the plateau of the North Cape.
That is
Unfortunately, you won't be able to enjoy the view.
it. I mean, it looks like behind you there's a spaceship. And it's sort of this like
Yeah,
the round part.
that is where we were. That's where I was sitting when we were talking.
Wow, it is amazing.
Yeah, and let me show you now.
Wow.
Here you have the globe of the North Cape.
And it is so light. I mean, I know it's the cloudy and the dark clouds, but
Yeah,
again, it's hard to kind of like remind myself that it is currently midnight where you are. Like it should be,
it is midnight.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of minutes past midnight, and it's cool. And this is even on a really cloudy day. So but it still is daylight. If the sun was up, I would be wearing sunglasses.
It's, I just I guess quickly, I don't want to keep you too cold, but the sun, does it kind of like get lower in the sky? I mean, what does it actually,
Yeah.
look like for someone trying to imagine?
It's actually just down in the horizon, just over the water. So it's really low. So
Mhm.
you can come out if you have been out on a club or something in Tromsø when I lived there. You'd come out in like 2 a.m. and it was sunglasses on actually, and it was so low that it's hard to drive a car because you get the sun in your eyes everywhere you are. Now I'm going to show you. There's a bit of a view, so I'm just going to give the panorama of the sea outside of the plateau of the North Cape.
Oh, that is so that is so beautiful. I mean, that is incredible. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
like this water that looks so mysterious, a little bit scary, but so like beautiful
Yeah.
as well, and all of those things.
It is it is dark, 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 dark blue. And you can see, I don't know if you're able to see this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks like a mountain, or not a mountain, but sort of a small island, maybe, or is it?
Coastline of Europe.
Wow, wow.
This is really beautiful.
It's almost like I can't believe that we're on the same planet. Like it's like there's tropical and then there's this, and it's all happening at the same time. It's sort of like kind of blows my mind that this is, there's so much difference and variation.
Yeah. So like I said, this place is unlike places you will see anywhere in the world, I think.
Thank
So
you.
there's not going to be any drone flying for tonight.
No,
I can tell you that.
no drone flying. Yeah, that that
Yeah.
is that is a dangerous drone conditions.
But yes, I'm not
Thank
going to lose it, that's for sure.
Thank you so much. I don't want you to freeze. Thank you so much for showing us and the time to, talk to me on the podcast. Everyone who's
Yeah.
listening, make sure you check out the video. I'll post links in the show notes. I don't want to keep you too cold, so I'll say goodbye now, and I'll talk to everybody in the next episode. Thank you again, Hege.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Hege, for being a guest on the foXnoMad podcast, and thank all of you for listening and watching. If you're just listening in, make sure you give this episode a 5-star rating wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're watching, make sure that you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.